Welcome back to this Games All Battle Report, and I've gone and done it. I've gone and got Soviets, but I've got a Hero Motor Rifle Battalion, so I've got done this because it is the least amount of Soviets that I need to start playing with them. So it is me, sorry, not me, it is Sherry as the Soviets and Richard as the Germans. I would ideally like to play with the Soviets first, but with the tight deadlines with the Six Nations and all the campaigns I'm trying to run, it was going to be quite some time before I could run the Soviets myself. So this game was already scheduled, and I asked Sherry if she wanted to use the Soviets, and she was more than happy to. And these guys are pretty much freshly painted. Just a few days ago I managed to finish them off. So it would be nice to see what they can do. So for today's game, I thought it'd be nice to try out a new mission. So this is Hammering the Line. So it's in the Battalion book. I just thought it'd be nice for the Soviets to attack in a mission more or less designed for them. I have a few questions about the setting up for this mission, which I'll go over a bit more when we look at the table. It just seems quite a lot of minefields and barbed wire to have for the defender. So you can have one minefield and 2 barbed wire for each 25 points. Feel that it should be minefield or barbed wire, because otherwise you can, with it being end on versus end on, you could pretty much cover the entire table with obstacles that would slow you down. But I'll let everyone else decide what they think, and pretty much those of you must have played this mission by now, so give me your thoughts on what you think of it. And here is the first Soviet list for the channel. So least amount of Soviets you could probably field other than just doing guards, tanks. But we do like our infantry on this channel, so we'll keep with it. So we've got a Hero Motor Rifle Battalion. So we have the HQ of 2 SMG teams, and then 2 full Hero Motor Rifle companies. So with a extra heavy machine gun each. With them, we've got 4 T-34-85s, a Hero SMG company with an additional flamethrower, and then 2 mortar teams. So we've got the 82mm mortars and 120. And in support, we have more artillery in the 76mm artillery battery and IS-2 guards. For command cards, we've got the RPG anti-tank grenades, which I think auto-include, but only got enough points for 2. So that's just for the rifle companies, and the 76mm guns are in there for the under the cover of smoke card. So just to give the Soviets a little bit of extra cover trying to get to the objectives. So here is the infantry element of the Soviet battalion. So we have the HQ, 2 full rifle companies as mentioned, and then there is the SMG company as well. Really nice models to paint. They're the nice hard plastic ones that we all know and love, and the paint scheme is rather simple as well. So I was able to knock these up quite quickly, and then move on to the tanks and the dreaded tank tracks. Okay, so still in the formation, we have the artillery. So nice having 6 bases with the artillery, meaning you can re-roll your hits. And they're quite cheap as well. The only downside to them is their skill is a 4+. So if there's terrain, that's 5s to range in, but that should be mitigated by the fact you can re-roll your hits, but you need to range in first. Still in formation, we have the 4 T-34-85 Hero variant, so better skill rating. Was thinking of just blowing all the 40 points for potential reserves on T-34-85s, but just went with this, and then we can check in the IS-2s as well. Speaking of which, here they are, the guards IS-2s, and then the 76mm guns. IS-2s I thought were really great until I noticed that they are only going to have 1 shot, even stationary, and then when they're moving they are slow firing, but still it's anti-tank 14 at the end of the day, with a 2+ firepower, and that front armor 10 is pretty decent as well. Not many MG shots though, so these are basically just going to be going after tanks and not too much infantry. Here are the command cards for the Soviets. So the RPG 6 anti-tank grenades taken twice for the 2 rifle companies. I think these are brilliant cards. Reading over them, and as I said, auto include. who doesn't want two teams hitting with that anti-tank? And for a point each is really good. And then under the cover of smoke, another downside for the Soviets is the lack of smoke cover their artillery is going to have. Probably that's why they're so cheap, though. Can't argue with that. For 3 points to have a smoke barrage for 2 turns is quite nice. But I do tend to like having the smoke a bit later on in the game. But it will enable you to get your troops in a bit closer. And you look in the stats of these Soviets, the motor battalion 2+ assault is pretty vicious, and it'd be nice if they can make it into assault to see what they can do. Here is the German list for today. This Richard has put together himself. This is his first Flames of War list he's put together. I've put them together to this point, so really glad he's had the time to do it himself. He is mainly basing on the fact that he has got the open fire starter set, so this is his idea of going from there and seeing what he likes. So a lot of infantry. He's taking this because he always says he loses so much infantry and he runs out of them, so he's got that 3rd platoon, and it's nice to see as well there's no 9th or 116th Panzer Division involved here as well. This is just vanilla Wehrmacht, which is nice. And we've also, it's a nice round 40 points with the Panzer IVs and the armoured Panzergrenadiers for reserves, and he even had a few spare points which I helped him out with. So quite a nice rounded list here. He wanted to defend, which is probably best really, since there's no smoke with the 12cm mortars. I did maybe suggest the saving some points here and there so you can have machine gun nests, especially for defense. But yeah, I think it's a good list overall. I've given him some advice on it, but you guys comment below what you think could be added to this list to make it a little bit more fun, more competitive, and I'll pass on the messages. But no, it's always good to encourage new players, and yes, it's nice to see new people putting lists together. So here are the infantry elements. So we have the HQ team, 2 SMG teams, 2 full Panzergrenadier platoons with Panzerfaust and 1 Panzerschreck each. And then we have the armoured platoon of, again, full, so 7 rifle MG teams with 4 half-tracks, no Panzerfausts with them. So this is still in the formation. So we have 4 12cm mortars and 4 heavy machine gun teams. And that is it for the formation. And this is the support in this list. So we have 3 8.8cm anti-tank guns. Originally I had 4. I talked him down to 3 to have a little bit more stuff in his list. Hope this doesn't affect the game too much, and everyone let me know your thoughts on that. 5 Panzer IVs though, so it's nice to come in from reserve, and then he has that spearhead option. Won't be able to be used in this game, but other defensive situations they're quite handy, and also they're a nice little mobile machine gun as well. And here we go. So we have what does Jen say? So, oh, ancient mystic of battles, the oracle of the valley, what do you say is going to win today? And Jen has gone with the Germans for today. So of course she's been wrong last video, but as some of you may have pointed out, maybe she's predicting future battles and she hasn't quite tuned in her skills yet. So one day the spidey senses will work. For now, we will see if the Germans are going to win. But yes, she's feeling the pressure now. But she does enjoy doing it, I think. So here is today's battlefield. Used the Eastern Front setup from the Axis of Attack campaign. So it's very little buildings. It's just a little farm towards the centre of the field. A lot of forests. We've got 2 little tree lines. The farmers are put up just nice decorative and also to shield their farm from the wind. And then some fields, and some of them have already started to be gathered up into haystacks. And that is today's table. So Richard gets to pick which side he wants first, and then we will start putting everything down. Okay, so we're all deployed for today. Richard has put basically all his force over in this corner where the objectives are, And as I mentioned, the 8.8cm guns are in ambush with the Panzer IVs and the Armoured Grenadiers in reserve. So we have the scout cars hiding behind the barn. We have the heavy machine guns and 12cm mortars further back. First platoon is smack bang in the centre of the table, and second platoon is on their right, with the HQ in the middle. And you should just be able to make out what I was mentioning with this mission and the defences. You can pretty much do a good solid line across the table. So not sure whether it should be minefields or barbed wire, but anyone else who's played this mission, let me know what you think. Seems like quite difficult for the attacker, but I know as if I was playing as a British I would have gone a night attack, but obviously Americans, unless you're using command cards, don't have that ability, and then luckily the Russians do have Under the Cover of Smoke, which I've put by here. And again, not really sure how this command card, when it triggers, so we didn't put it in when you put the ranged in markers. We did it after deployment, so it says at the start of the game. Looked in the FAQs, couldn't find anything for it, but again, if you've used this card, what time do you use it? Do you do it when you put your ranged in markers or at the start of the game, just for future battles? And this is where the Russians are deployed, so basically all their artillery is clustered around here, mainly because they can see up through the centre of the board or crabbing across towards the left. So we have the smaller mortars here, the big anti-tank gun, big artillery instead, and then we have the bigger mortars, and then we have the SMG company on the left. And then going over here we have the rest of the battalion. So we have the second company here, and then first company up here with the T-34 85s in the middle and the HQ in the middle as well. So the idea is, it looks like Sherry is going to be sweeping across like a swinging door, and this battalion, if they do not sustain too many casualties, will crash into this flank of the Germans. And the IS-2s are in delayed reserve. Now they can come on, it's still in this half of the table, but we marked the dice, so that is like the far edge of where they can go. And Rich has been quite crafty, that's where he's put quite a bulk of his minefields, so they have to go further back, and obviously this area is closed. And with his defences, he has left an opening here. Now that looks like a bit of a trap to me, because the Russians move through here and there's a lot of MG fire to greet them. And then it's similar over on this flank as well. We have a minefield right on the edge of the board, so any IS-2s moving through here will go through the mines, and also the barbed wire closing this farm section down as well. So quite good placement of the barbed wire as well, so he's really fortified this section here. And that is it. So Russians will have turn 1, and this smoke will last for 2 turns, so quite interesting card. Nice to use it. It's 3 points, but otherwise there will be no smoke bombardments from the Russians, and they are quite useful. Okay, summary of movement for turn 1. The SMG company has moved into the forest, but is staying 2 inches away from the edge, so they can't be seen. The T-34s have taken a position behind this tree line. The second company and the HQ both failed blitz moves, so with that they would have been able to get into this farmhouse, and a few of them got snagged on the wire as well, so couldn't get through. First platoon did a cross-country dash, and then we're going to do a follow me to get into the barbed wire, but the follow me has been failed, so only I think 2 skill checks have been passed to get into the barbed wire. So hopefully the artillery will be a bit better. Okay, so basically the mortars all ranged in. The 76mm guns cannot range in because they've counted as firing the smoke barrage. So the smaller 82mm mortars are ranged in by here, hit practically the entire platoon, but no kills. And then the 120mm mortars ranged back here, got a hit on the Grenadier, which they killed. 3 hits on the heavy machine guns, but no casualties, and they managed to miss the mortar. And that is it for the Soviets turn 1. So now we're going into German turn 1. Okay, so when you thought the skill tests for the Soviets were bad, the German motivation wasn't much better. So basically the two pinned down platoons, first and the heavy machine guns, failed to rally. First platoon with a reroll from the HQ. So Richard decided not to bring his ambush in yet because the Soviets are still yet to play their hand, and no reserves have come in. So there we end it. So I would like to see if Richard does any movement this turn. I doubt it will happen, but he has all surprised us in the past, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so only movement for the Germans was the scout units moved back a terrain dash into the fields, and because they are scouts, they remain gone to ground because as long as they don't fire, which they're not because they dashed. There was a little debate where the second platoon was going to move into the woods and mirror what the Soviets were doing, so staying hidden, but Richard was conscious of the T-34s coming across within 6 inches and then blowing them away with the machine guns. So he's kept them anchoring his right flank for now. So that is it for German movement. Shooting wise, we have their artillery to fire back. Okay, so German shooting has been very good. Richard ranged in on the edge of the woods here with the 120mm mortars. He basically had 2 mortar teams and 2 76mm guns. He managed 2 hits on the mortars and 1 hit on the howitzers, resulting in 1 kill and both units being pinned, so that's quite good. So they need to rally next turn to be able to bombard, and that is it for German shooting. And now we go into Soviet turn 2. Okay, so it was a 50-50 motivation to rally, and it's quite right that one did and one didn't. So the mortars have rallied and the howitzers have not, so they're going to have to wait another turn to bombard at least. And that is it for motivation. It's delayed reserves for the Soviets, so we will press on with the movement. Okay, so Soviet movement. The SMG company did a blitz move and then a tactical, so they had enough to get into the forest, but the Germans can see them if they're close enough. T-34s have all moved up to the tree line now, and the 3 dice there show the people who did the barbed wire clearing order, and then there's a few more and the HQ have gone to the building. First company have occupied the cart shed, apart from the 3 who are still trying to swim their way through the barbed wire. And that is where we end movement, and now we're going into the shooting phase again. So the 2 units are already ranged in, are not pinned, so this could be a bit brutal for the Germans. Okay, shooting phase. The repeat bombardment for the 82mm mortars pinned the team again, but they were already pinned, but no kills. But the 120mm mortars managed to kill 2 of the heavy machine guns, so because they're still an infantry unit, they're going to be last standing. The flamethrower was in range of this guy, and I say was because he's not there anymore, and that team is pinned because just 1 hit from a flamethrower team will pin you. So that is it for the shooting. The T-34s fired their main guns but got no hits, and that's it. So now we're going into German turn 2. Okay, so 3rd platoon, not second platoon is the armoured guys. They have failed to unpin. 1st platoon is unpinned, so is the heavy machine guns, and they also passed their last stand test. And another addition, the reserves have come on in the form of 5 Panzer IVs. So Richards drove them on tactically, so he can fire his main guns as they come on, not yet in range for the machine guns, but they will be soon. So interesting times ahead for the Soviets. So we're going into movement. Okay, so apart from the Panzer IVs, it seems the only unit that can move in this German force is the scout cars, so they did another terrain dash forward. So they're gone to ground. Richard brought them forward to protect his platoons from being assaulted by the Soviets. And that is it. So now we can finally go into the shooting and see how many of these Soviet teams remain at the end. Okay, so German shooting, we started up here, so the mortars ranged in over here, so I angle them, so that's where they're looking at. They managed to get 3 hits on the first company, but no kills. They did get 1 kill in the form of the main guns firing, and there was a guy in the barbed wire that got killed. Other shooting, the second platoon that was pinned, got a couple of shots on the SMG company in the woods, no kills there. And then first platoon pinned a team, no kills apart from the flamethrower team, which is the worst one to lose. And that was it. That was German shooting. So probably the most valuable target of all was the flamethrower in the SMG teams. So now we're going into turn 3 for the Soviets, and the smoke goes. Okay, so Soviet motivation all passed. First company though did need some motivation from the HQ, but no IS-2s yet. And the good thing as well is these fellas have rallied as well, so more artillery options again for the Soviets. And with 3rd platoon pinned and a hero SMG company lurking in the woods, it could be a bit nasty when these guys get assaulted, so we'll have to see what happens here. Okay, so with the movement, the SMG company is moving in to assault 3rd platoon. Got some teams ready to fire at the HQ so they can not support them with their SMGs. Second company did a blitz move and a tactical, and a lot of them are in this barn, including the heavy machine gun, and then the rest are in the farmhouse. Similar again with first company, they've occupied the cart shed, but the HQ is still in here, hasn't moved, so he could spot if he needs to. So there's still plenty of shots for the Soviets, and T-34s have remained stationary again. For either main guns or MGs, it's up to them. So see let's what happens with the shooting again. Okay, so in the shooting phase, the SMG company couldn't pin the HQ, which is a bit of a problem, but they managed to kill one of the guys from 3rd. First platoon has taken a bit of a battering from the guys in the barn and the T-34s, as well as some guys could catch the guy on the edge over here, and they lost 2 bases total this turn. The artillery, the little mortars had to re-range in, no casualties from the mortars this turn, and the 76mm guns failed to range in, but the 12cm mortars are finally pinned. And that is it. So Sherry is going to attempt an assault with the Soviets because it seems very uncharacteristic for them not to. So they're going to go for it, although there's quite a bit of firepower, and the worst thing is they're hit on 3s, so it'll be a miracle if they get in, but if they get in, they're going to cause some mayhem. Well, the assault did get stopped, but only 6 hits hit home, and only 1 casualty, but there'll be a little bit more next turn. I think we were just saying that flamethrower being lost last turn might be very pivotal, because that could have pinned the HQ team and probably got rid of one of them at least. But yeah, so they got pushed back to where they started, and we'll be going into German turn 3. Okay, so in the German motivation, all the grenadier platoons have rallied. The heavy machine guns have not, and the 12cm mortars have. And again, a pass on the last stand for the heavy machine guns. The ambush has not popped up yet, but the half-tracks have done a terrain dash to here. And that is it for movement. That was it for motivation, so now we're going into movement. Okay, so we've done the movement, and some of you might have been screaming before this slide came up, but yes, I did 16 inches rather than 10 for the tactical move, so I moved them back. 3rd platoon is going to try and get some revenge, has moved into assault range. 1st platoon is going to go into this barn of death and see how many Russians are in there. And yeah, so I'll just move it over so they don't actually clip any minefields. And yes, the Panzer IVs are moving over to also try and support the assault on the barn, and there we have it. Assaults should happen this turn, so we'll get into the shooting. Okay, so German shooting was very good this turn. The artillery managed to get rid of another mortar team, so they will not be able to re-roll their hits anymore. And the 76mm guns are pinned as well, but no kills. The SMG team is just down to 3 bases, including their commissar, and are pinned anyway from the defensive fire last turn. The guys in the barn lost 1 guy and are pinned. And over here, the Panzer IVs opened up their MGs. Got 12 hits total, so pinned, and managed to get 2 kills as well. A lot of failed saves in this building, so pretty much all the Soviet infantry teams are now pinned, and now we're going into assault. And down here, I reckon it's I can tell you, I think it was going to be the winner down here, and then this one I feel it's a lot of ifs and buts whether they can get in. So let's do the assaults and see what happens. Okay, so this assault went rather well down here. The 2 units that got contacted were straight up murdered, but then the commissar of all people came in and killed a German team, but then he himself was overcome. Over here, Sherry only got 2 hits in defensive fire, which resulted in no kills. Only 1 unit got killed by the Germans, but that was the commissar team, which is quite a rough unit to lose. But luckily the Soviets counterattacked with 2 units and the heavy machine gun. The heavy machine gun was already in base contact, but only got 1 kill. But then the Germans failed their counterattack, so they had to pull back. And because of they were victorious, the unit gets to make a consolidation move, so the rest of them are piling out of this building. And that is where we end it. So that is German turn 3, so now we're going into Soviet turn 4. Okay, so motivations, everyone has rallied, which is great for the Soviets, but the IS-2s still lost, but they will be turning up next turn, and that is it. So now we're going into the movement, and hopefully the Soviets can get some revenge for the SMG company that has been lost. Okay, so with movement, 2 of the T-34s have moved so they can see the scout cars, the other ones can draw a line of sight on them and obviously keep their halted rate of fire. Second company have moved out of their buildings they were in, crabbing across to within assault range. Unfortunately did a failed follow me, but they have left the heavy machine gun behind in the barn. First company passed a blitz move, and now have completely taken over this barn and the rest of the farmhouse, and most importantly put their heavy machine gun in the barn as well. And that is movement for the Soviets, slowly crunching their way onto the objectives. So we have shooting, and all of the templates are available again. So let's see if the Soviets can get some decent artillery. So in Soviet shooting, the 76mm guns ranged in here and took out the Panzergrenadier. The little mortars managed to kill the other Panzergrenadier, so all the Shreks are gone. First platoon is also down just to 1 base, that's because of all the MG fire. And then the T-34s managed to kill and bail 1 of the half-tracks, so that is pretty much the perfect way that could have done. So the Russians only need to contact this side, and the MGs cannot fire in defensive fire, and hopefully they can roll up this flank, but there's still plenty of Panzer IVs coming in. And that is it. So let's get into the assault step and see if the Soviets have to fall back at all. That's the only way that's going to stop them. Okay, so the Soviets won that assault. They blew up the half-track because they used the RPG grenades, and then Richard rolled a 1 for his counterattack. So luckily they all actually had enough tactical move to get out of there, and no one got had to surrender. So it's all about rallying and last stands now, because 2 German units are last standing, but there's still plenty in the formation to keep them in the fight. So we'll see what happens in German motivation turn 4. So German motivation, everyone passed their rallies apart from the sole survivor of first platoon, and then he ran away. And that is it. So now no ambush again. Richard's clinging on to these because these are the things that will deal with the IS-2s when they come in. And we're off to German movement. Okay, so German movement. The 3rd Platoon Infantry are moving up to assault 2nd Company with the help of their HQ. They did try to do a follow me but failed. and then everything else is converging. So the half tracks did a tactical, and then the Panzer IVs have done a tactical. So pretty much everything around this courtyard here should be pinned, ready for the assault, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so the shooting has left 2nd Company down to just 3 bases and their heavy machine gun, and again both companies are pinned, and the mortars managed to take out one of the 76mm guns, and they're pinned as well. So there is some defensive fire from the barn over here, but this looks quite brutal, going in for 2nd Company, and 1st Company looking a bit of trouble as well. So luckily the IS-2s are coming in next turn anyway, so we will see how the assaults end up. Okay, so that assault, shall we say, was a bit of a disaster, and that was the first disaster for the Germans in assaults this game. They lost the executive officer and 2 bases from 3rd Platoon, and that stopped the assault. Just too much defensive fire from the motor infantry. So going into Soviet turn 5, they're in a position to probably break this formation if they're good enough, so we'll see what they can do. Okay, so Soviet motivation, only 2nd Company did not rally, and the IS-2s are coming in, and they will be coming in by here. So they have to drive through this minefield, and if they do a tactical, they will be contesting this objective, and they need to do that. And but first of all, let's see if they make it through the minefield, coming right up. Okay then everyone, are we ready to see what happened? What do we think? So basically they needed 3 pluses to get through the minefields, and we have 1 IS-2, 2 IS-2, and then the 3rd one got blown up. So Sherry rolled, I think it was a 2 to try and get through, and then she rolled a 1 on the armour save, so it got blown up. But she has 2 pretty meaty tanks on the objective, and she has the T-34s bearing down on the 2 remainders of 3rd Platoon, and 2nd over here are going to attempt to dig in, because they might as well do, because they're in the open. So we'll do that, and then we'll get into the shooting and see if the Soviets can finish off a few more guys over here. So to summarise the shooting, this is what was lost. The HQ team, 3rd Platoon, and the heavy machine guns were downed. So in the formation that's only left is the 12cm mortars and half tracks. So basically the 120mm mortars and the 76mm guns tried ranging in, but none of them managed to get it onto it. So that's a bit unfortunate. But we have the IS-2s who might be able to sneak the objective next turn. It all depends where the big 8.8cm guns can go. And we'll see what happens in German turn 5. So motivations for the Germans, it wasn't any to do, because there was no pin down units, and everyone who was meant to do a last stand is already dead. And the 8.8cm guns have finally popped up. Because of the infantry pushing up everywhere, they've had to go pretty far back, and they've had to go, this is the best they can go towards the left, because any more further to the right they're going to end up firing through a forest, which they can't do. So they really need to try and knock out at least one of these IS-2s to force Sherry to do a last stand. But obviously Richard's banking on getting all of them. But first of all, he's going to have to clear the path. The Panzer IVs are going to have to get out of the way. And if he's going to assault these infantry, he needs to do it from this axis and not any other. So let's see what he can do. Okay, so in the movement step, the Panzergrenadiers 2nd Platoon have got out, and looking right into the 2nd Company, going to mow them down. The half tracks remained, and the Panzer IVs did a blitz move. So 4 of them can get shots onto the T-34s here, and then 1 can get shots onto here. So these T-34s are in a bit of trouble. Front armour still for these guys, but it's side on those ones. So, and it's full rate of fire as well thanks to that blitz. So quite a lot to do, but we'll see what if the Russians can shrug it off. Yeah, so the shooting for the Germans this turn is, one word to summarise it, is hot. The Panzer IVs managed to blow up 2 of the T-34s. They got quite a lot of hits. 2nd Company is just down to 1 team and the heavy machine gun in the barn. And then the mortars managed to take out another mortar and pin the guns here, so if they don't rally, they can't fire back. And the 8.8cm guns got 4 hits in total on the IS-2s, but Sherry rolled 3 6s, but one of them blew up and one of them bailed. So basically, Sherry needs to win this game because we're going into turn 6. First of all, she needs a remount on a 4+. Then she needs to pass the last stand on a 3+. And these two, both of them have rolled quite a lot of 1s and 2s today. So normally I'd say this is quite a good odds in here, but today's game I would disagree. So we will see what happens. Otherwise the T-34s are going to have to do a cross-country dash, hide behind this bloody forest, and then hope that the Panzergrenadiers don't come knocking, but it keeps them in the game. So let's see what happens. Being turn 6 and all, the Soviets needed to start within 4 inches of an objective and end within 4 inches with no enemy teams contesting. Now, I will tell you this, that the IS-2 managed to remount on a 4+. And then for all the rallies, everyone rallied apart from the 76mm guns. And then, second company have had enough, so they've run away. So that means second company and the SMGs have left. So now, Sherry needed a 3+ for the last stand on the IS-2 to win the game. And the suspense is... it's still there, and the Soviets managed to sneak it with a ballsy tactical move through a bloody minefield. I don't think you can get any more Soviet advance than that. And also basically glaring down the barrels of 8.8cm anti-tank guns that fire anti-tank 17 shots. So with the 2 she's lost, it's a 7-2 victory, and unfortunately the Oracle was wrong again, so one more and she loses a slot on my channel. So but I said the pressure's getting to it. We will have a quick chat with Sherry and Richard about who their man of the matches were, and we will get back to you with another battle report, but we'll have to have a little bit of a delay for the Six Nations. I'm really glad to see the Soviets struggling with time for the games, because with the rugby and everything and with the other little campaigns I'm running, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to see the Soviets. I would like to play them myself at some point, but give Sherry the first go with them, and by God she managed to pull out the win with them, but they were very good. But I do dislike the aggressiveness. But since they're on the line, on the phone, Sherry, do you have a man of the match?
Sorry, my brain's flying again. Sorry, my brain, it really isn't working.
Yeah, so Sherry's gone with the IS-2s just for the fact is most of them got through the minefields and won the game, and it's also the fact that they fronted up against 80, 70 shots. Just very good showing and winning the game, otherwise it would have been a lot more difficult. And Richard, to you now, what is your man of the match for your team?
Oh, that's quite hard actually. It would have been that third platoon, but then they absolutely fluffed it. They were going for the assault, didn't they?
I'd say 3rd Platoon did get rid of the SMG company, but then they did abandon their posts on that right flank, but they needed to come across, I suppose.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Rob? Any suggestions?
I think the Panzer IVs are a good shout. I think they took out a lot of enemy infantry with their MGs. They pinned basically everyone they needed to pin every turn, and they also could have, if they were a bit luckier with Sherry's armour saves, could have probably taken about 3 T-34s.
Yeah, I was thinking of those, but I didn't use them in the end well enough in terms of they were on the periphery. But no, I think I will go for those. Probably
Yeah.
take that flank.
Yeah, and I would say pivotal moment in the game, but luckily didn't impact the game, was probably the flamethrower getting killed by the SMG company. Who knows what would have happened down in this corner, but it's pivotal because that SMG company being taken out as a result caused 3rd Platoon to be able to move up, which left the door open. So it's pivotal that the fact it was bad that the Soviets lost it, but then it was also good that they lost it. So
it came around really good for the Soviets in the end, and it's also nice to see new models on the table. I'm buying a box of T-34s so I can run T-34 companies, because I don't really like aggressive infantry. They're too fragile for me, and I'd rather have tanks I hit on threes, but we will see. So I hope you enjoyed the game, and everyone remember to put down your comment what you think of the hammering the line scenario. Yeah, so everyone stay safe, and then hopefully we'll be back down our gaming club soon, and if you're already down there, I envy you. Just stay safe, and everyone keep on playing and keep up the comments as well, and also not far off on 500 subscribers now, so about 70 away. So just remember, when I get to 500 there will be a prize competition running again, so if you get all your friends and family who are interested to subscribe, we'll get to that prize competition that a little bit sooner. So until then, everyone stay safe.